Sean Davis is the CEO and the co-founder of the Federalist. It's one of the most prestigious and reliable news sources in the nation right now. He says, hey, we're all living through the biggest political scandal in American history. The DOJ and the FBI are covering up the Biden family's conspiracy to sell influence, launder money, and evade taxes. Sean says everyone involved in both the crimes and the cover-up ought to be in prison. Please welcome back to the show one of our favorites, Sean Davis. Sean, good to have you back.
Good to be back. Thanks for having me.
There was a, the word bombshell kind of becomes overused and we get immune to it, but there really was one this week when Charles Grassley, senior senator from Iowa, released an FBI report from a confidential human source that laid out in very specific terms that Hunter Biden and Joe Biden each got $5 million from Ukraine business interests related to Burisma, basically to keep the Ukrainian officials from investigating. How big a deal was that?
It's a pretty big deal, and especially if you look at what they tried to go after Trump for. They tried to say he had done Russian collusion, of which there was no evidence, based on thin nonsense from a Clinton campaign paid hack. They impeached him for having made a phone call where he asked about corruption in Ukraine. And here we have from the FBI evidence in black and white in a document that they had during the election in 2020 from a top source that the Bidens were coercing this businessman into giving them bribes so that they wouldn't allow prosecutors to take down his company. That's an impeachment level, far beyond Watergate level scandal, and our media have just ignored it entirely.
How can they do that? How can they just sort of pretend it didn't happen?
I guess the power they have allows them to do it. I have a friend who says the job of the corporate media is to cover stories with a pillow until they stop moving.
Boy,
that's what they're doing here.
Great analogy of what we're seeing. There's clearly some corruption within the DOJ and the FBI. And I'm just stunned that we've seen these whistleblowers come out this week, very credible from the IRS. Why don't we see more?
It's a great question, and I'm glad you hit on the DOJ angle, because of course it's bad when you have your president and his son collecting bribes in exchange for official acts. It's worse when you have the nation's premier law enforcement agency, the Department of Justice, turning into basically a Stasi, a protection racket for one party, because it's bigger than just Biden and his family. It's about the rule of law, and they're destroying it. And I think the reason we don't see more whistleblowers is because so much of that agency doesn't actually care about the rule of law. They don't care about equal protection. They care about protecting the Democrat Party.
What happens to a republic like ours if we don't have equal justice? What happens?
We become tyranny. We become an oligarchy. You can't have a republic without rule of law. Rule of law is the foundation. It's the basis of all free society. And as soon as you throw that out, you end up with a narco-tyranny, with tyranny. You don't end up anyplace good. And it's why our legislators and our Congress have to actually crack down on this. They can't just do sternly worded letters anymore. They actually have to do something.
What pressures do you feel sometimes that you're going to get maybe shut down by the platforms of Twitter, maybe not now under Musk, but before, our Facebook, our YouTube, because they don't want you to be able to tell these things?
No, in fact, the most terrifying thing to a tyrant is somebody being able to say the truth unfettered. And so we're constantly dealing with Google trying to shut us down, Facebook trying to shut us down. That's a concern, but we get up every day and all we care about is finding out the facts and reporting them. And when you don't care what other people in the media are going to say about you, when you don't care what Democrats are going to say about you, you only care about reporting the truth, it's the most liberating thing you can ever do.
Do you think it's possible that cocaine could be found in the White House and all of the law enforcement officials are unable to determine how it ever got there? The most secure single building in the entire world.
It's amazing. You almost have to give them credit for it. And I heard a story, I don't know if it's true, that they were looking at the cocaine baggie and they tried to do handwriting analysis on it because there is scrawled in marker, Hunter Biden's coke, don't snort. But unfortunately, the analysis came back inconclusive. So what are you going to do?
Well, I don't know, but I'll tell you, we better rescue this country from the oblivion to which we're headed. And the voice of the Federalist is a very important part. Please continue to give us a good resource to turn to, and you certainly have done so. Now, I know you're going to want to connect with Sean and also be a subscriber to the Federalist. Join them on social media, follow their stories, because they have some of the best reporters and analysts in the entire country. We've got all the links for doing just that at our website, Huckabee.tv. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, I hope you will now. The button is just below this video, and there's a little bell next to it. If you click on those, YouTube will reluctantly start letting you know when we've got a new video uploaded.